There's no audio. Da 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 da. I'm apparently audible. Yeah. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and just take over the stream real quick. What's up? What's going on? My name is Lucas Leo, coming at you from the isolation station down in southwest London. While Razz figures out the tech issues, I'm going to go ahead and just say hello and keep you guys entertained or not. Let's see what happens. There was a comment in the chat saying that there was no audio, but I've got it kind of looping on my side. There's like a 15-second delay, so technical difficulties, guys. We'll be right back. Can you share your screen with me so I can see if I can figure it out? No, but I know how to use audio stuff, so I might be able to see something.
Last one.
1, 2.
Simon
He can't hear you.
He pops up and disappears. It's like that guy in Mortal Kombat. He's like, what Toasty is 3D, but it's Simon.
All right, let's try that again.
I'm crying.
I hope this is working now. I don't know.
Hold on, let me switch. The
Okay,
sound
hold on. People can still hear you. That's hilarious. Amazing. I didn't mute you this whole time. Amazing. Oh God. Okay. Disaster. That's fine. It's just perfect for today, isn't it? Isn't it just perfect? Okay. All right. How about we pretend those last couple of minutes did not even happen?
I say we acknowledge that it was an issue. But
no, we just put in the description. We put where it starts. I put the time code. I put a timestamp in the comments, and I avoid all this mess. Hi guys, welcome to another session of the Movie Club live discussion. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. And happy fun times. So it's quite appropriate that we have some issues while we're talking about this film in particular. We're talking about Network, and I mean, It's fun. It's fun. It's only very stressful and it makes you almost have a heart attack, but it's fun. Welcome back. Sorry, we started off a little late. I'd like to welcome Lucas. I have Lucas here joining me all the way from England. Lucas, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Can't quite figure out what the weather wants to do in England. It's been bipolar as hell. Literally sunny in the morning and then thunderstorms at night. It doesn't make any sense. We are indeed in 1984, and yeah, let's get to it, basically.
I mean, I wouldn't want to remind you of weather issues of where we're from, of Dubai,
Yeah.
and the non-stop living nightmare where you're in the third act of The Mist, and that's pretty much your life. So, no. Anyway, so our movie for this week is Network, and I just really want to stop for a second and comment on the irony of the fact that I'm talking about the movie Network, where it opens up with the character of Howard Beale announcing that he's going to commit suicide in a week because he's losing a job due to a problem, which is ratings. I love that this now translates, instead of ratings, it's viewership, where I have a problem with the viewership on this stream. And it seems that our numbers are dropping with every stream. So it's kind of a mess, which makes me also want to tell you guys that I believe next week our movie is going to be the last movie that we're going to do weekly. And then I'm going to switch over to monthly sessions. So hopefully maybe we can promote this a little bit better. You guys who are out there every day, I mean, I'm doing this for you guys, but also I need your help. Share the stream right now. Get people to watch. Nag your friends and your film buffs to watch the movie that we're watching and to discuss it with us. So I think I'm going to switch this into a monthly thing, so that people have a month to watch the movie and then come and discuss it, and then I can promote throughout the month. Maybe put a little bit of trivia and stuff about the movie. Get people hyped about the movie every month. It just helps. I also would like to do some reviews. This has kind of taken up all my time. So that's my announcement. Anyway, so Network, our movie of this week. I know that most people have not actually seen Network, which is a travesty because it's one of the coolest films in cinema history, a huge staple in cinema, incredible script writing, directed by the extremely underappreciated Sidney Lumet, who was one of the kings and the major directors of the era of the 70s. Beautifully well-written, witty films. It was an age of socio and political enlightenment in the United States, and it created this vast movement of critical thinking, and amazing movies came with that. Dog Day Afternoon, 12 Angry Men, and Network, all Sidney Lumet. So cool stuff. I've seen this film. I've watched this film when I was in college, and of course, being a media student, this was no, and I haven't seen it actually ever since. So, and this cool thing about the movie club is that I'm watching these films that I haven't seen in years, in a decade. I'm too old. Anyway, so I rewatched it last night, and my God, it's kind of scary and depressing and hilarious. Just how right these guys were in their predictions of where media and television is generally going. They were just wrong about the medium. Or not wrong, they just didn't know about internet and YouTube. But still, so Lucas, quickly before we go into details, just give me your first impression. Have you seen this movie before? Did you rewatch it? How'd you feel?
I've only actually had the opportunity to watch the film once in preparation for the stream. However, I'm also a media student, where I was 10 years ago. I'm also too old. And it was a really interesting kind of indictment of the media as an industry and how it kind of spectacularizes mental health issues and turns it into something to be consumed like a product. I didn't see too many kind of elements of a dystopian future, so to speak, in the film, but there were so many parallels to 1984. There were so many parallels to Black Mirror, particularly I can't the name of the episode, the Shut Up and Dance, the one where they had like the American Idol spoof thing.
That's not Shut Up and Dance. Shut Up and Dance is the one where they with the kid who gets blackmailed. The one you're talking about was, I think, White Bear. That's the one with the reality show.
No, White Bear is the one where they have the girl being chased through the theme park.
The black dude and the white girl, and they're in a reality show.
Yeah.
It was season 1. I forgot what that was called. Let us know in the comments if you know what we're talking about. Yeah, I know that episode. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then there was, there's so many kind of dark allegories to what's happening today. I mean, this film is nearly 50 years old now.
44.
And yeah, so that 44 years ago, they basically, on the money, saw exactly what was going to happen. And I think that Joker drew a lot of inspiration from this film.
Especially that ending,
I mean, it was weird. And then there's also the kind of they kind of predicted the kind of social media culture of spectacularizing
sensationalism
of humanity. Yeah, exactly. And like they made it a spectacle, and I'm just like, I look at it and I look at how like people will comment on people's YouTube videos like, oh, you should kill yourself, rah, 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 rah. And there's all these people consuming this guy's madness and repeating his own words and kind of doing it as a weird kind of nihilist orgy, so to speak.
Yeah.
It was so weird and looking at it and then looking at everything that's been going on in the media with regards to protesting and all that, and how the media has again sensationalized it all, and looking at how people are trying to predict what the media is going to say when there's like another coronavirus outbreak, like how they're gonna show footage of a specific set of people protesting. And the idea that the media is extremely selective about what it shows is to me something that is is a massive indictment of it as an industry. One thing that I noticed that I particularly enjoyed was actually that there was a quote from this film in Better Call Saul.
Which one?
You've messed with you've messed with the forces of nature, and you will atone.
Oh.
Yeah. When he goes into
Spoilers
check for his brother.
Spoilers for.
That was 5 years ago. You can't.
Spoilers for Better Call Saul.
Spoilers for Better Call Saul 5 years ago. Sorry about that. Also spoilers for Joker 1 year ago. Also spoilers for Black Mirror 10 years ago. Yeah, my bad. Sorry, guys. I tend to rant and waffle. My bad.
That's okay. Amazing first impression. But anyway, fantastic. So like diving into this movie, I mean, the thing that stands out, of course, everybody's talking about, the thing that stands out about this the most is, of course, the script. We have Yusuf in the comments who says, was this a movie we watched, or was this the colorized dramatization of the collective fever dream that Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan, Robert Murdoch, and Roger Ailes all had in one night? That is quite an apt question. I don't know. It might just be because, my God, it's absolutely crazy, this script. I mean, this was written directed by Sidney Lumet, like we said, and written by Paddy Chayefsky. Paddy Chayefsky, if you guys don't know, also a fantastic screenwriter, very big in the 70s, has written incredible things. And has won, I believe, 3 or 4 Oscars. Marty in the Hospital and Network, 3 Oscars. And this was just his magnum opus. It was fantastic. Just the dialogue in this film is just insane. And my God, these guys did not know how right they were gonna be. I mean, I don't think they knew. They meant it as, I mean, it does play like a satire. It plays like it's making fun of media and how just ridiculous it had become, but then also it feels like a warning message, kind of similar to Clockwork Orange, and then like now you were saying, like somebody Neo was saying in the comment, that it doesn't feel dystopian because we're in it. And it's true, man. we are in this right now, you know, we're in this madness where you have people just sensationalizing news 24 hours a day, just everything is a disaster, everything is just made to be so big, and there's no more ethics, there's no more anything, you know. Like a few days ago I was actually rewatching Nightcrawler, like coincidentally. I'm like, my God, like Nightcrawler could not have happened without a film like this. Black Mirror couldn't have happened. It's iconic for a reason, and it's sad because I feel like it's very underappreciated. Not enough people have seen this movie, which is sad, really, because it's a fantastic film, and people it should be in the conversation. I believe his script was selected as one of the top 10 scripts of all time by the Writers Guild. Like in all time, it's one of the top 10 scripts ever written. It's just fantastic. The lines. I mean, you're talking about that. I mean, people who don't know this movie, they at least know that speech, huh? They at least know the speech of, I don't have to tell you things are bad. You know they're bad. The food is unfit to eat. The air is unfit to breathe. And, you know, and like, it's time to stand up. I love it. I love it. It's time to stand up and tell people. I remember, I think, Lucas, you remember, because I know Lucas from college. I think you remember that I knew this. I don't know if you know, but I knew this by heart back in college. I used to recite it on request. On request in the student center.
It used to be one of your favorite rants, yes. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
I'm a human being, goddammit, and my life has value. I made that speech to my parents in Arabic. But I
think one thing that I would probably disagree with what you were saying there is that the filmmakers didn't know how right they were when they wrote this. I think that they probably were trying to call it, and they did the best that they could to be right about it, because one of the things that happens when you start doing close readings of media is that you start to see that it's not just an indictment of what's going on currently and what has gone on in the past. It's also a prediction of the future. And that's like one of the reasons why Black Mirror is as famous as it is. When they did the episode Nosedive, and that episode, I am actually 100% certain I got it right, where the whole society is driven by social media ratings, where people can give each other 1 to 5 stars.
Yeah.
And then 9 months after that episode aired, China had that exact same system.
Yep.
And you know, I mean, Charlie Brooker as a media writer is absolutely fantastic. I mean, no one can kind of argue that Black Mirror definitely looks at how things are and then says, how is it going to be 2 steps ahead? And I think that's exactly what this, you know, what Network is trying to do, because in reality, in the 70s, if a presenter said something like that, they'd be cut off air within their 7-second warning, and it would just be technical issues, please stand by. You know, the network would not have broadcast that, would not have let him continue to broadcast it, and the station manager would not have told someone to go F themselves if they told him to stop. But now we're in completely different times.
Yep.
We are in completely different times where there is this kind of blend of the professional lives of media professionals and the personal lives of media professionals and how they feed into each other. About 4 months ago, there was a really famous British daytime TV broadcaster who came out live on television as being gay, and you know, he was the kind of quintessential statistical family man. You know, he had a wife, he had the 2 kids, he had the house. He was obviously a very successful broadcaster, but he had basically been kind of like not really lying to himself, but didn't really know how to handle being a homosexual and maintaining a kind of heterosexual facade. But the biggest trending thing about the show for that day and about a week afterwards was him coming out, because you know there had always been allegations of him cheating with his co-host. There had always been allegations of him being a womanizer and that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, all of that flies out the window and everyone wants to talk about the fact that he's gay now. Yeah. And again, the kind of consumption rate of media that we have meant that, you know, this is something that the guy has been essentially living with for 26 years. And that was only consumed for a week. It was like number one trending on British Twitter for a week, and then all of a sudden nobody's talking about it. And that's probably that's one of the things that they were talking about in the film as well. And sorry.
Go on.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were playing me out like the Oscars. Go on. And like looking at how like 2 days after he made that announcement that he was gonna commit suicide, the front page story was that the station runner had been fired. And it was like, to me, it was a really interesting way of looking at things, where the media does have a massive element really of control over what we actually consume.
Yeah, absolutely. The Robert Murdochs of the world and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's not, look, I don't want to spend all the time talking about the media, because that's not the only thing that this movie is making a commentary on. Definitely, yes, media manipulation.
I'll take my tinfoil hat off.
No, you're gonna put like 4 other ones. It's not just one. It's not just one for this, because yes, okay, the media control is there, but there's a lot of other things that they're commenting on that I think are very powerful. Like one of my favorite statements that really stood out with me this time around, not last time. Like last time, I felt like his rant, his prophecy rant, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore, was very anti-establishment and very rebellious, and it appealed to me as a young rebellious whatever. But then now I'm looking at this, and one of the things that stood out in the film is her commentary that what he was articulating was popular rage. Okay, and that didn't really register with me as a 20-something-year-old, because I was made of popular rage. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, she literally, and this is what I mean when I say they didn't know how right they're going to be. This is how Donald Trump became the president of the United States. He articulated popular rage, anger and resentment and negativity and cussing on TV and not caring what people think and not playing by the rules and saying whatever you felt like it because everything is bull, like, holy hell. That's what that is. And I thought that, like, that really stood out for me in that scene. I'm like, my God, she's talking about Donald Trump, you guys. What the hell? So it's kind of eerie. We have Yusuf saying that it's not just the media as well. These guys took a very close look at the economic and political situation of their time and made very apt prediction, which brings me to another thing that really stood out for me. Again, I watched this as a kid and I didn't really look deep into it as much as I did today. And I only focused on, Warren Beatty and his speech and his rant. And I've rewatched that rant 1,000 times. Like, I never rewatched the movie. I just watched that part. And then I would stop there and I wouldn't continue the second half, because I didn't get it. I mean, I got it, but I didn't get it like I get it now. But like, for me, one of the things that really stood out for me this time around is the speech that the head of CEA, is it CEA? CCA, yeah. The speech that he gives to him, where he talks about that freedom is not what's dying. Democracy in America is not what's dying. What's dying is the individual. There is no more, no more countries. There is no more countries. There's no more. We deal with IBM and AT&T. It's the age of the corporation currency, and that you cannot mess with the fallible nature of business. This is now. We are the death of the individual. The world is getting smaller and smaller on top of our heads, and there's no more countries. There's no more this whole like disaster we're living in now in 2020. If you want to put another tinfoil hat on, you have people who are saying that this is just, some sort of economical war between China and the United States and all this drama. Like, holy crap, we are not going to get a war of bullets, and machine guns. We're getting wars that are socioeconomic wars that are getting waged day in and day out, because all that is being cherished and all that is driving any decisions being made anywhere about anything are corporate decisions, and especially like in the United States with their Congress and their Senate and how they function, it's so corporate, and it's so corporate control with their lobbyists and things like that. That's it. This is what it has become. And when they were presenting it in this film, they are presenting it as a prediction for the future and as a warning. But you always present things in a more satirical, over-the-top way, thinking that reality will be close to this, but not exactly. But reality is actually more ridiculous than Network. more ridiculous. And in the end, when they're all sitting around and like, you know, and they're like discussing like assassinating him, it's like what? They're just sitting there
And it was all done sort of kind of like matter of factly,
like they're changing their schedule.
It was in direct defiance to his kind of main thesis, which is that his life has value, because at the end of the day his life doesn't have value. The only value that his life has, and I think that, you know, the one of the kind of more somber items of that speech is that if you replaced IBM, AT&T, whatever, with Facebook, Amazon, Google, Tesla, like just the top 5 of today, that speech would be just as pertinent now as it was 40 years ago.
And I just want to comment on Stephen, because we have a discussion now in the comments between Stephen and Yusuf, where Stephen says it shocked me that there was a character more bombastic than Howard, and he's talking about the CEO of CCA, and Ahmed is actually arguing with him, saying, I think you missed what the CEO of CCA did. I mean, that is something definitely I want to open up for discussion, because the CEO, when he brought him in and put him in that setting and like started doing this speech to him, like you can look at it, I think you can look at it in both ways. You can look at it as just as much as Howard believes in his mantra and in the things that he's ranting about, just as much as that, this man believes in the corporate power and the currency and the business of the world, and he worships it like a god, you know. And that's something that's kind of a commentary of people are like that, but they're like that on the inside. It's not, you know, it's not outwardly, it's inner, where they worship it. Yeah, they preach about it. Yeah, but
it was inner, but now nobody's got a problem about speaking the fact that they love money more than blood.
Yeah. Yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
Just wanted to throw that dime in.
Yeah. And like he's saying, but Ahmed is saying that Howard narrated what he saw and heard while he was in bed on air. The guy obviously heard it, and he started the meeting by saying he's one hell of a salesman. So he sort of played his game and spoke his language to sway him into his bidding. So yeah, I mean, again, you can. I wouldn't say, I don't know which one it is, because it's not really clear. It's kind of left vague. But I can see that, yeah, you could argue that he's doing it on purpose to manipulate him, or he actually is like that. He is as crazy as Howard is, but he's just has more power. For what do you think, Lucas? Do you think which side of it are you on?
I mean, I think that there's a kind of defeatist attitude that looks at the way that speech was presented and goes, actually, no matter what, like I would probably have stood differently at that story beat until that speech was delivered, because it really did sway me, and it swayed me because of how many parallels to current reality I was able to see in that. And I was just like, actually, yeah, that's the one language that we speak is currency. You know, and you know, we're now in the middle of heading towards another recession, apparently akin to the one in 2008, which was again apparently akin to the one in 1980, whatever it was, which was apparently akin to the one in the Great Depression of the 20s. And the one thing that you know remains kind of as a tying thread between everything is the fact that there is fucking plenty of money in the world. We just have it all sitting in the coffers of 5 people. And the fact that the guy basically looked at it and actually called it the God currency, I was just like, yeah, actually, fair enough, true. I'll just continue being my little lemming self.
Yeah. I mean,
but again, it was another indictment of hypercapitalism, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. So again, at the end of the day, like, it's a fantastic script. I also really like the way that they sort of brought in these militants and these rebellious people, and just sort of used their story and turned it into something that is serialized. it's basically, I mean, like taking something from reality and turning it into a show. I mean, this is what became reality television later on in the 2000s, right? Just looking at people's reality and turning it into consumable, fun content. And I love that. And I love the fact that it ends up compromising the main principle of those people, just like the leader of the rebellious communist lady who's like, she's from the Communist Party, and then like we have the scene where she's discussing her her contract, and she's yelling about like distribution and margin, and I want a bigger cut, and she wants syndication profit. That's hilarious. That is so well written, and I love it because that's what's happening now. Anybody representing anything on TV and media, we no longer believe that they stand for the principles which they are representing. We know that this is just a facade to get them money, to get them funding. Like, it's just complete desolation of principles and ethics that we now live in, and we now like we believe it. We live in an age where like people are on Facebook manipulating what we see, manipulating, literally creating echo chambers of our opinions and just like echoing them back in our face. And you can, like, if you go on the profile of like a neo-Nazi, he's going to believe he's right because Facebook is going to tell him, yeah, you're right. Look at all these articles and people who agree with you. You are absolutely right. So it's the most divisive thing that ever happened is now how mass media has become. Instead of becoming this like unifying communications platform, it's become this like destruction of the fabric of our principles and our ethics. And yeah, this movie just touches on that in an amazing way. I want to talk about the actors as well. I mean, there's unbelievable performance. This is an actor's film because it's a fantastic script. I mean, I know that like many many actors have used these monologues to audition, to audition for films, and we have some fantastic performances. Some like even like, I mean, you have like Finch as Howard, of course. You also have, I think Faye Dunaway is amazing in this movie. I believe she won Best Actress for her role here. Just absolutely fantastic performance from her. She was very happy to work with Sidney Lumet. We have Peter Finch who won for this. We also, I believe, the wife, Max's wife. I forgot her name. She's what was her name? Something Straight. I don't know if anybody knows. I think it's Beatrice Straight. She has like an old lady name. Yeah, it's Beatrice Straight. Beatrice Straight won the Oscar for this film. She's his wife, and she won Best Supporting Actress. I mean, her scene was pretty powerful. But I don't know if this has changed, but up until a while back, this was the record for the shortest screen time for a Best Supporting Actress. She was on screen for like 10 minutes, but she got an Oscar from it, which is amazing. That's what happens when you have a fantastic script. What do you think, Lucas? I mean, some fantastic performances here by everybody.
I think that, I mean, the as you say, the whole ensemble cast is a tour de force as far as performances go. There was so much that you were able to see in there that kind of oozed a naturality that you don't usually see in film. You could see that everyone kind of became who their characters were. Like when you have a lot of actors these days who have like who kind of typecast, and they're just playing themselves essentially. When you see like a great example of that is Jane Lynch, for example. Like she is just one character. She's just placed in different stories. Whereas with this film, everyone just kind of became the characters that were written for them. Obviously direction was absolutely fantastic.
Sidney Lumet is known for being an actor's director.
Yeah, I mean, it was so amazing to see everyone kind of really encompass everything that they were being for the screen. It was almost like watching reality.
Yeah.
Because you could look, you were looking at the content of their discourse, you were looking at their mannerisms, you were looking at everything that was going on, like the way that the shots were composed and everything, and you were like, wow, I believe this.
Yeah.
And when you have no need to have a suspension of disbelief, I think that's a fantastic like kind of feather in the cap of this film.
Neo saying my God, every performance. When Robert Duvall fired Max, that speech insulted me. And I wasn't even there. It's true, man. Robert Duvall is amazing in this. I mean, Tom Hagens. He'll always be Tommy. But yeah, consiglieri. but my God, man, he's so good in this. He's ruthless. I mean, again, like everybody's performance is amazing. They're fantastic. Again, they're really well written characters. You guys, the script is amazing. It's listening to it. It's like modern day Shakespeare. It's just the way that these people talk and the way they play off of each other. I mean, you want to talk about like the power of the script and the power of the dialogue of the script. It's just people are talking to each other and you can't help. There's nothing happening. There's barely any action in this movie. It's just people talking, which, by the way, this film and the writer Chayefsky, they're major inspirations for a little guy not known, Aaron Sorkin. Aaron Sorkin worships network, and you can see it in his work, with West Wing, with Social Network, I mean, he just loves this stuff, right? Because it's just the way that the dialogue is written here. It's like art. It's like poetry, and it just is so captivating. You watch this movie and you maybe not think much of it. You're just like, it's an old film, it's about media, and then these people start talking, and it's like when you first get into Shakespeare, you're like, I don't know what the big deal is about. The story's stupid because you read the footnotes online. But then you sit there and you watch how these characters talk to each other. You're like, my God, it's captivating verbal poetry. It's amazing, and he definitely does that, and I think it's fantastic, and it plays a big role in why you get such amazing performances. Let's talk about that ending a little bit and see what did you think about that? I mean, the ending of the film is fantastic. I love how Howard's character, like every time he gets emotional and he like gets built up, he gets so like overhyped that he passes out. So they've set up his death on camera multiple times where he collapses, passes out. Nobody ever checks on him, and this is something really interesting. Like, nobody ever checks on his guy, no matter how bad things get. Like, he says he's gonna commit suicide, and like the guys sitting in the control room, like they're not even they're not even listening. He's like, I'm gonna kill myself in a week, and they're like, blah, 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 like, oh, take camera 2. I love it. We're so distracted with the machine and with the process that we don't even realize what we're talking about, what we're saying. So anyway, they show him collapse multiple times, and then the audience, every time he collapses, they're like, yeah, and there's like this floor manager hype man who's like, yeah, cheer for this. And I'm like, oh my God, when he eventually gets assassinated and shot and he falls down, nobody says anything. Nobody screams. Nobody goes to him. The only thing we see happen is what? The camera pushing in on him. The camera pushing in on his dead, bloody body. And I'm like, my God, this is exactly what, like, this is, I imagine, I wish they cut to this is something that I wish happened. I wish they cut to the guys in the control room, also not paying attention to the fact that he got shot, just going, camera 2, push in on his body, like something like that. I mean, that's a little too dark and too witty, but it might as well have been that, because you expect when somebody gets shot for people to scream and react. They're just quiet, and because nobody told them to clap, and the camera just pushes in on his body, and then it fades out into that multiple like ads and stuff like that. And again, you called it definitely Joker. Like the Joker ending is right there with the music. And by the way, cool thing about this
spoilers
movie,
for Joker. Spoilers.
I didn't say it yet. I just said that you see TVs and it's fine. You know, it's cool, by the way. It's the music. FYI, if you notice, the music for this film is actually, it's only commercial music, huh? There's no score. There's no normal music. Most of the music being used in the film as score is music from television commercials and television bumpers and things like that. So it really puts you in there. It puts you in the network.
Yeah, massively. And I think one of the things that also was amazing as far as the shot composition was concerned, I think you had a screenshot at one point over the as an overlay, where it's like the 3 stained glass circles. And I think that was kind of like a macabre representation of like media consumption as a religion.
Which shot? Which one?
The one where he's walking onto the stage. There's three circles that look it looks like you're staring. It looks like you're staring at the pulpit of a church. And you have the audience looking at that, and he's coming out, and then every time every time he passes out, he passes out, with his arms splayed out like a crucifix, and it's like, and
she called him
then,
a prophet. She called him a prophet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then she is also like a shyster, and everyone knows that she's a shyster, and everyone thinks that she's a shyster.
I don't know what a shyster is. Excuse me, Arab. I don't know what this. Excuse me. What is this? This is white people language. What's
is like who is this lady whose house you have shrunk?
What's a shyster?
It's like a peddler of lies.
It sounds like a sauce. Some beef with shyster sauce.
No. It's the media is essentially a huge shyster. Like, it's just someone that peddles lies and gains from it.
Okay.
But that's the thing. Like, there's all this religious imagery that's going on there.
Yeah, we have Yusuf also pointing out that this is the time televangelists became a thing. And
yes,
he says,
Yeah,
he says, I think that the movie was definitely leaning on that angle.
Yeah, and that was the floor manager. Like, if you look at it in terms of parallels, this guy is supposed to be the prophet of this media religion. The audience is the congregation, and the floor manager is actually the preacher. Because he's the one that's getting them all amped up. He's the one that's saying the one of the things that I've seen from televangelists is like this guy who tells this woman who has like a hip replaced, and then he just gets her really excited and she starts doing the running man. He's like, "Do it, Jesus, a new hip, bam, 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 bam." And it's like, and the idea is that televangelists like do that, and they do that, and they still do that today. I mean, let's not talk about that guy.
Let's not lose our monetization, shall we? Let's keep that monetization button on that I make zero from. Zero. Again, ironic. I'm talking about network. I don't have enough viewership to keep the stream going. I'm mad as hell. I'm not gonna take it anymore. I'm a YouTuber, God damn it, and my stream has value.
I think you should just do a video where you deliver that speech in YouTube terms.
Oh man, I should. That would be awesome.
Get it ready for 2021 as a 45th anniversary celebration of the film. Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Step 3, ... Step 4, profit.
Or assassination.
I don't know, bro. You live in the Middle East, so I'm not going to make that joke.
That'll turn off a different kind of button. It's not the monetization.
It's Jabrange.
Oh man. So yeah. Continue, please. Proceed.
And we're devolving.
Good.
We're devolving.
It's good. It's good.
So what you guys saw there was essentially me and Razz devolving in the same way that the audience devolves as a result of the floor manager hype man, getting them hyped up to watch this man die.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that it's not that different now, except instead of sitting in their seats, people are, sitting with their smartphones, because they don't need to set up a massive studio floor. Like, you have your congregation. Straight away, everyone's got these in their pockets, and all you have to do is find people that are like-minded. So you have the people who, like, Nazis will find Nazis, flat earthers will find flat earthers, and all of this stuff. So if you get enough people who believe the same thing, which the algorithms, definitely, and it's known that the algorithms actually push towards content that matches your own mindset, because what they want is for you to sit on their sites as long as possible so that advertisers can see your behavior and target your ads accordingly. And then if you look at the fact that, going back to the ads that they're talking about in the film, looking at
the shares,
viewership share, looking at market share. The only reason why that information is important to them is because that's what advertisers pay for, and that talks it back to that God currency that they're talking about. Yeah. And everything is always looped around that kind of nucleic idea of how can we make money out of this? Yeah. These people are basically Jake Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
I rest my case. Please come to my TED Talk. Mic drop.
It's more of a pen drop. Get it? A pen drop. Pen drop.
Don't do this to me, man.
I'm sorry. I'm the one with the large audience that I've put behind me in order to overcompensate for the fact that I don't have enough views on the stream. Anyway, so
I don't know, bro.
there's my views.
There were 5 people watching when we started. There are 8 people watching now. That's a 60% audience viewership increase.
Yes,
that's the number that you put down.
Yeah, that's like Robert. That's like Robert Duvall in the meeting where he's talking about his achievements. Like when he's at that meeting, I have it up by there. I have the image.
I have
up.
the best. I know words. I know the best words. The longest words, folks, and I'm telling you.
Oh my God, man! He populated popular rage. He articulated popular rage. Yeah, amazing. So I think what you're talking about is definitely is wonderfully represented by Faye Dunaway's character, right? And I really think that her role in the film is a very, very interesting one, and especially like her relationships with everybody else. Her relationship with Howard, like I don't think we ever see her and Howard properly interact, by the way, just to show you that how far she is from the content that she is selling. Yeah, I don't think we ever see them together, which I thought was very interesting, and definitely deliberate, because to her it doesn't matter what he is, you know, it's just he's just a tool, a means to an end. And the only person that she has a close connection with is Max, which I thought their relationship is also very interesting. The two of them and their sordid affair, and her last connection, like he called it, her last connection to humanity, you know, and how she's just incapable. I think it's very interesting how he's obsessed with her. And I find this to be the most like complex part of the movie, to be honest with you, is the relationship between those two people, because he's so obsessed with her, and she's every time she's with him, all she talks about is the shows, right? Her shows, especially her reality show, which is, you know, way ahead of its time and eventually became a thing. And even when they're like making out or going to bed together, she's still talking about it. It's like, shut up. And it's very interesting.
And totally fixated on the screen as well.
Yeah. And it's very interesting that he never tells her to shut up. He never tells her to shut up, and he just goes with it. And why is that? What is that relationship? And I think it has something to do, I don't know if you've thought about this, but here, I'm giving you an opportunity to think about it. But because I thought about it, and I thought it was very interesting, because they constantly talk about each other in like this generation gap. And keep in mind, again, this movie came out in the late 70s, and between the 50s and the 70s, there was this huge shift in the social dynamic of the United States, and it became the biggest, I think, gap between old and young at the time. Because between like the 20s and 30s and 40s, like between the 20s and the 50s, people were very similar to who they were. So you didn't see that big difference in the value system between children and their parents. But then you have 50s and 70s, the people who were still stuck in the 50s mentality saw these hippies and flower children. They're like, what the hell are these people about? And it became this giant gap between the two generations. And he refers to himself as sentimental. He tells her like what you refer to me as like what I'm talking about, you refer to as like empty sentimentality, but what I'm telling you about is feelings, it's love, you know, and like how how cynical the new generation has become, you know, because of like Nixon and the war and all this kind of stuff. And I thought that there were
the original simp.
And I think that the relationship between the two of them really represented that big gap. So his obsession with her is like the old generation's obsession with the young, of wanting to control them, wanting to bring them back to the old ways, running. And then her relationship with him, and she says, I have father issues and all this kind of stuff. But I don't know what her relationship with him is. Why does she want to have a human connection when she really clearly doesn't really care about it? She has nothing in her life. She's divorced. She doesn't care about anything. So what do you think about this relationship and what it represents, and why they had that focus on it in the script?
I honestly think that you've kind of got it on the head there, as far as looking at the generation gap as a kind of cultural phenomenon as opposed to a physical one. Because, you know, it's very easy to kind of quantify the generation gap as far as physical age is concerned. But when you look at the way that the value systems have changed in kind of quick succession, you know, when you look at how everything changed from World War II to, you know, everything that had kind of gone on in kind of 10-year stretches, and even extending that to now, you know, there are people who are, you know, 18 today to whom 9/11 is history, so to speak. And like they don't, like our generation doesn't understand how they behave. We don't understand it, and we want to kind of educate them, so to speak, but they're actually the ones that are doing better than us, because we like, apparently
goddamn boomers.
I read this thing on Facebook where I get all of my information.
Amazing.
That says we, like, our generation falls smack bam in between the generation that believes that hard work and sacrifice will yield dividends, and the generation that just knows where to strike it lucky because they know things ahead of time. And we're stuck in between those two and not getting benefit from either side of the equation there. And I think that that's probably the kind of modern representation of the cultural generational divide between those two in that film.
I see. Interesting. I mean, it's interesting. It's a very complex relationship, and like Ahmed is saying, like they see exactly how he knows exactly how it's going to play out. He still does it anyway, which is interesting. There are definitely themes and commentary on like free will, and we choose to be in this toxic relationship with media. We choose to consume it. We're sitting here, you and I, we're talking crap about it. We're like, they manipulate us, but like we're doing this on a YouTube stream. Like, we're watching it. Media manipulates me.
We are also simps. يعني we are also simps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think it's interesting. So fantastic discussion. I could definitely talk about this movie for a million years, but we've reached our 1 hour. Before I go into picking our next week's movie, I actually want to attempt to see how much I remember. And I promise I haven't practiced. I want to see how much I remember from the speech. I've only seen it one time yesterday.
Wait. I'm gonna
try. Okay, I'm gonna
pull out the script.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna try to recite the speech and see how I do. I actually auditioned with this speech once. It didn't work out because they didn't want to cast me in a male role. Anyway, that's another discussion for another time. But yeah, I'm gonna try. So I don't know, guys. See, give me some grades at the end. How much I did out of 10? I don't know if I can remember the whole thing. Okay.
So
I know exactly how it starts.
Somebody just told you that things are bad, and 3.
I'm not acting it out. I'm just trying to remember it. Okay, I'm not gonna act it out.
Damn it!
I can't. I can act. No, I can act it out if I have it in front of me. But like, I don't. I'm just trying to see how much from my memory. See, is anybody saying anything? Okay, let me see. By the way, Yusuf, shots fired. He said getting all your information on Facebook sounds very boomer to me. It's true.
We interrupt this broadcast.
All right, let me try. Okay, here we go.
Okay, we don't interrupt this broadcast.
Let me try. Okay, here we go. You have the script. You can check. Don't tell me Don't tell me. Just give me a grade.
No.
Don't mess me up. Okay, let me try.
Should I be as harsh as our alma mater?
Yeah. Look, just let it go. Let me finish the whole thing, and then tell me how much of it percentage-wise did I get. Okay, let's see. Cool. All right. I don't have to tell you things are bad. You know things are bad. Everyone knows. Everybody knows things are bad. We're in a depression. Everybody is afraid of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Punks are running in the streets, and nobody anywhere seems to know what to do. The air is unfit to breathe. The food is unfit to eat. And we're watching our TV while a local newscaster is telling us there's been I don't remember the number. A lot of homicides and a lot of violent crimes, and that's the way it's supposed to be. We know that things are bad. Everywhere is going crazy. We don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and it's getting close. It's slowly getting smaller on us. And all we want is to be left alone. We say, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV. And I won't say anything. Just leave me alone. But I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I want you to protest. I want you to write to your Congress. I don't want you to write for your Congress because I don't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the Russians and the crimes in the street. All I know is you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being, goddammit, and my life has value. So I want you to get up right now, out of your chairs, open the window and stick your head out and yell, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. How did I do? I mean, he repeats, I'm mad as hell, and he repeats, like, get out, and but generally.
Yeah, I mean, you got to the halfway point of the rant, but up to then, 80%.
Well, the rest of the rant is just
almost,
the rest of the rant is just
it's
repeating, I'm mad at hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore. Get out now. Don't get out of your chair. Stick your head out of the window. And This is what I remember of it. 80% is not bad. It's not. I knew it 100%.
No, 80% is a B minus, bro. 80% is a B minus. I got 0 of those in university. So, yeah.
I'm well aware. Okay.
Ouch. The true shots fired.
Cool. All right. I'm glad I got 80% of that. But then again, I did rewatch it recently. Like when I used to say it back in the day, I wouldn't watch the movie and say it. I knew the clip by heart. Cool. I probably messed up a lot of it. Okay. So let's do it. Okay, let's pick our movie for next week. I mean, this was a fantastic discussion. Thank you, guys. Fantastic movie. I know not a lot of people ended up watching it. I think you guys should recommend this movie to your friends because it's really cool to watch. It's actually really nice to check out after all this time. And let me see what our movie for next week is. We'll have a session next week, but then after that, I'm going to switch to a monthly. So I'm going to probably do first week of every month. But try to get as many people as possible. Help me promote this, depending on what the movie is, but help me promote it next week. Try to get some friends. Try to get some people on the stream. Share the stream. It's cool when we have people around. Get people into the movie club page and let them help us. So here comes R2D2 with the pick of the week. You guys ready? You ready, Lucas? Sorry, Stuart.
What did he just say about my mother?
Let's keep that button on, shall we? All right. So, what did we get? Our movie next week is Hot Damn. Okay, now it's the problem of me trying to show it to people. Can you see that?
Ooh,
you see
classic.
Yeah. You see that? Scarface. So our next movie is Scarface. Those effing cockroaches. Say hello to my little friend. That's our movie. I have not seen Scarface in a long time. When I saw it as a child,
I watched it like 2 months ago.
Really? Nice. Well, yeah. I haven't watched it in a very long time. I think the last time I watched it, it was playing at a party, and I left the party and started just watching it. Interesting movie, big pop culture. All right, we're gonna talk about Scarface. Let me see people's reactions in the comments. Hello. Yeah, not yet. But yeah, so that's our next movie next week. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, share the stream. Get me the views.
Neo says, I love Carface.
Carface? All right. Yusuf says the American Decadence theme continues. Exactly. Well, I'll see you guys next week. Watch the movie. It's on Netflix, I think. I think it's on Netflix. It was. I think it still is. I mean, our Netflix is different than yours. We're here in the Middle East. It's different Netflix. So check it out. And which one? Oh, no, the Al Pacino one. That's the one. It's on the 1001 films you have to watch before you die. So not the old one, this one. So the remake, the Brian De Palma one. So that's the one. Okay. So it's on Netflix. Check it out, easy access. And I'll see you guys next week. Again, try to get as many people as possible. Help me help you. And thanks, Lucas, for joining us all the way from England. And yeah.
And I will do better to get people to like, comment, share, and subscribe next week, I promise.
Awesome. All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Peace. See you guys in a bit.